Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And once again, this is the one-day chart. We're sitting here at $3.07. It was another red day for XRP, but it dipped down with Bitcoin as well. And Bitcoin is back above 117K. You see the same dip happen right here. And the chart for XRP and Bitcoin look almost identical right now. We're just waiting for the next move up. I really don't see XRP going back below $3. I think right now $3 is support for XRP. Fed Chair Jerome Powell leaves the interest rates unchanged. Take a listen.
Is really in kind of just not even moving.
All right, we've got it. Unchanged. Right? Unchanged, as anticipated. So this is not the Federal Reserve Chair bowing to the pressure of the president saying he's been too late, it's time to lower rates. He's decided not to.
Yeah.
And Kevin Hassett just said that the economic indicators all point to the need to lower rates, but that is not what is happening. So the market reaction basically is quiet because this was what was anticipated.
The markets already knew what was going to happen. So why did we see the dip? It had to do with the White House report on digital assets, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Jerome Powell, even the president, said it looks like he's not going to change rates until September. So don't expect a rate cut in August either. But I'm sure there will be a lot of hype around that. Breaking, the White House crypto report does not include details about the strategic Bitcoin reserve. And this is what the president posted. And I honestly thought this was fake. I had to search around and actually make sure this was real. So Donald Trump, the president, says a U.S. crypto reserve will elevate this critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by the Biden administration, which is why my executive order on digital assets directed the Presidential Working Group to move forward on a crypto strategic reserve. That includes XRP, Solana, and ADA. I will make sure the U.S. is the crypto capital of the world. We are making America great again. But the report actually did mention Bitcoin. You see it right here. The Bitcoin in the reserve will generally not be sold and will be maintained as reserve assets of the United States, utilized to meet governmental objectives in accordance with applicable laws. So all that they said pretty much was, hey, what's been going on for the last 6 months is just going to continue. We're not going to add to the stockpile unless they get it through illicit activity and seizures. They're just not going to buy more Bitcoin with taxpayer money. And that got the Bitcoin maxis all up in arms. But we knew this is how it was going to play out. But the U.S. White House crypto report has been released, and cross-border payment, which equals XRP, the U.S. does not need Bitcoin. They need XRP. They actually mentioned cross-border payments about 30 times in that report. Now, they didn't mention XRP directly, but this shows you what the U.S. is looking at. And why are they mentioning cross-border payments? What have I been telling you this entire time? A stablecoin, a U.S. digital dollar stablecoin, still needs a bridge currency. What is XRP? A bridge currency. So what they're going to do is they're going to utilize a stablecoin instead of a central bank digital currency, but they're going to need a bridge like XRP to move it. And that's why they mentioned cross-border payments so many times. And when you think of cross-border payments, who always gets a seat at the table? Brad Garlinghouse. What cryptocurrency is best suited for cross-border payments? XRP. That's all you need to know. Just in, U.S. Director of Digital Assets Bo Hines says, "We're enormous fans of Bitcoin. We want as much as we possibly what we can get." And X says he is not a fan of Bitcoin. He is simply following the orders of his bosses. When the utility comes to XRP, Bitcoin will be irrelevant. And it's true, utility is going to change to 4-year cycle. You're not going to see the run-ups on Bitcoin like you're seeing now. And everybody's already looking out to 2028 as far as Bitcoin. We don't even know if that run is even going to happen, because utility is going to change everything. We're on the verge of institutional adoption. And it's not just Bo Hines. I think it's a lot of people in Washington just talking about Bitcoin because either it's trendy and it makes a lot of headlines, or their bosses are telling them, you need to keep the Bitcoin narrative going. But eventually the narrative will die. When they utilize something like XRP to move the U.S. digital dollar, it's game over. Bitcoin will become irrelevant. This comes from Alex Cobb. XRP incredibly stable above the $3 floor for the last 7 days. This is exactly what you want to see. XRP building a much higher floor than ever before, which will be used as a launch pad to get to the next floor of $4.20 per coin. I'm thinking we go up from here. I think the market already knew that Powell wasn't going to change rates. I think the market dipped more on the news that came out of the White House around that strategic reserve. The Bitcoin maxis honestly believed that the U.S. was going to announce that they're going to buy up all this Bitcoin and they're going to bail out these big bag holders. But that's not going to benefit the American people. When you utilize something like XRP to move the digital dollar, that benefits every single American. And Uphold jumped on the bandwagon. Seems like today's hot prediction across X is XRP to $1,000 by 2030. Agree or disagree? Bullish? This is a save this post for later moment. You know, it's too hard to ignore now. Everybody's talking about $1,000 XRP all of a sudden, and the price of XRP is not even moving. I think what it is people see how everything is building now. They see how XRP could get to that price point now. Normally, people would just dismiss it, but they're not dismissing it anymore. Only a handful of people still talk about market cap. So extremely unrealistic based on current fundamentals and math. If XRP hits $1,000 per token, its market cap would be $1,000 times 55 billion circulating supply. $55 trillion. That would make XRP more valuable than the global GDP, the entire stock market, and way beyond Bitcoin, gold, or any asset in history. So yes, under today's supply and market conditions, it's highly improbable. The problem is this: market cap doesn't matter, and it won't take $55 trillion to get XRP to that price point. I actually think it's only like $118 billion of inflows into XRP. And we just talked about that in a video over the weekend. So when it comes to XRP, you got to remind yourself, utility matters. Market cap doesn't matter. Wait until they continue to lock away XRP, and all of a sudden it starts to be scarce while demand is continuing to rise. You think when the institutions get here, they're not going to be buying and locking away XRP? Absolutely, they're going to be doing that. And that's what's going to change everything. And remember the inflows from the ETFs. So crypto expert says new SEC rule could fast track XRP ETF approvals. But here's the date that they put on this. SEC sets October 17th as expected date for XRP ETF decisions. So if they're pushing this out to October, that's actually a good thing if you think about it, because other things will fall in place first, like clarity for crypto. If that Clarity Act gets put in place, that's going to be a game changer. Plus, the Ripple vs. SEC case could be over by then as well. This would just be more icing on the XRP cake. And we would start to see the price of XRP really surge at the same time as alt season is happening. That's how you flip Bitcoin's market cap. That's how XRP becomes the #1 cryptocurrency. Teucrium's Trading's 2x leveraged XRP exchange traded fund has become the company's most successful product launch in its 16-year history, with CEO Sal Gibberti reporting hundreds of millions of dollars in inflows since the fund's debut. The reason I wanted to mention this is because this already gives us a good idea on what's going to happen when those ETFs go live. I think the XRP spot ETFs are going to break all kinds of records for inflows. And I think that's what's really going to push the price of XRP in this run. Now, once this run is coming to an end, sometime early 2026, I think by then utility could be here. And if that's happening, don't expect a big pullback and expect XRP to continue upward throughout 2026. Then we'll start to talk about how you can get passive income from your XRP instead of selling your XRP bag. Because I don't think anybody's going to want to sell as long as they're getting monthly income. Because think about it, you could leverage your XRP, you could borrow against it, you could loan it out, get the passive income, you could put it up for real estate. There's going to be so many different options. Plus, at the same time, tokenization should be amping up by then as well. All of it coupled together is the perfect storm for XRP. You know, for as long as I've been in crypto, everybody talked about super cycles for Bitcoin, super cycles for alt season. This is going to be way beyond the super cycle, in my opinion, because everything is setting up so quick. It's like every day you see more and more catalysts for XRP. You know, nobody would have thought a year or two ago that there would be companies creating XRP treasuries in 2025, but it's already happening. And ISO, nobody talks about ISO because Fedwire didn't push us to $100 overnight. We will see value come from that over time. There's a reason these cryptocurrencies are part of ISO. They could be utilized inside of ISO messages. That's what you need to know. The fact that crypto can be utilized in an ISO message tells you that it's going to be a big deal over time. Then we start talking about the digital dollar and so on. But it is true, XRP right now is holding up very well above $3. I think $3 is now support for XRP. Even with the dips, it seems like we can't go down below $3 all of a sudden. I'm just waiting for the next move up. And until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.